So, as such, the plan is that we stick around, Hamilton said. We stay and play the role of family and friends, whilst we teach the boy combat and magic. I surmise that you'll want me to take hold of his magical training. Yeah, that was the general idea when I planned to contact you in the first place. Honestly, I never expected you to just show up, Salus replied. So from here on out, Rico and Talion's magical training will be up to you. I don't think so, Hamilton replied. I have no problem teaching young Avalar, but teaching that eco is not something that I'll be doing. I refuse. Sorry, tough break, Hamilton, Salus replied, starting to smile a bit. But remember, part of this is keeping up the act. And part of the act is that this eco is actually my daughter, my other child. If you commence training Talion and completely ignore Rico, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. It'll be obvious that you're discriminating against her, which will only beg the question of why. And that's a question that can lead them down a path that we don't want. So I'm sorry if it offends your tender sensibilities, but you have to train her in order to maintain the performance. Grr, Hamilton growled. I should have known as much, forcing me to waste my time like this. You know how I feel about low-level demons. You're lucky that I tolerate you. And now you're forcing me to teach some random eco that will most likely never amount to anything. Just because she's attached to him. He should just let her go. Let her starve. She's next to useless. All eco are. They haven't any power to truly speak of. I've seen them just as well as you have. They're nothing more than scavengers, randomly attacking low-level demons that wander alone, in great numbers, just to have a chance at beating them, feeding on the corpses that line battlefields, draining away what minuscule amounts of demonic energy that lay there. Ugh, they're disgusting. And you've stuck me with training one. It's repellent. But I suppose I have no other option but to deal with it for the time being. So, as far as their magical skills go, how far has young Talion come? What is his primary? His base energy? How many spells does he know? Give me as much detail on his abilities as possible. I'll need to decide an effective training regimen. Well, that's where things actually get a bit interesting. This will probably actually catch your fancy, Hamilton. You see, young Talion is actually a seals mage. What? You have to be kidding me. If he's a seals mage, then it's a waste of time to train his magical abilities at all. He won't be able to effectively use them in combat, Hamilton replied. Why even bother trying to call me at all? Your typical training methods should have sufficed just fine. And why in the world would you say that would catch my fancy? Well, Hamilton, Salus retorted, it's because Talion has found an interesting way about things. I've never seen nor heard of it done, but Talion has, well, found a way to skip over the normal rules when it comes to seals magic. What? Hamilton replied. You can't just skip over the rules. It doesn't work that way. Well, it does for Talion, Salus replied. You see, Talion figured out that he could actually use his seals magic without imbuing it into an object first. By placing the seal directly on his body, he can simply cast it whenever he wants. I know, it's pretty weird. It actually blew me back. Sort of a stroke of genius. And now he can cast those spells whenever he likes. In fact, it seems far more effective than trying to cast them through a seal, happening basically instantaneously, as if he were casting it normally. Yet it's clear that he's utilizing the seal. He found a very interesting way about it, don't you think? It's definitely going to change the game when it comes to seals mages. That's impossible. You're lying to me, Hamilton said, starting to adjust his glasses somewhat. That simply cannot be done. Well, I hate to break your bubble, Hamilton, but he's been doing it on a regular basis. Stop playing games. Many seals mages have done many experiments over the centuries, and trying to pass a seal along the physical body is one of the experiments that has been tried on multiple occasions. What? Salus replied. You mean they've actually tried it before? Yes, and in multiple different ways, with multiple different demons, but the result is always the same. It reaches no effect at all. You see, the physical body itself possesses its own flow of demonic and magical energy. When you try to pass a seal through a physical body, the result is that the magical energy becomes muddied. Normally, when it is imbued into an object, that object has no contradictory magical energy. It simply serves as a storage space, where magical energy of whatever type you should desire will store itself until it's needed to be utilized. But the physical body is not like a random object. It possesses a great deal of magical essence and energy, of every type and variety you can think of. No matter what methods you choose to use in going about it, any attempt to pass magical seals through a human form, a demon form, even fae and other races, demons included, their own magical essence muddies the spell, keeping it from reaching fruition. The magic simply reabsorbs into the body and is lost. Thus, what you're describing is impossible. It can't be done. As Hamilton spoke, suddenly there was a shimmer of light in front of him, as a little bird seemed to apparate from nowhere. A hummingbird, simply fluttering its wings. It made no sound or noise, but it was clear enough to see, darting back and forth. What in the... Where did... Hamilton said, as his eyeline turned towards Taleon, who had his hand extended, a faint glow emanating from the back of it, as he turned his hand around to show the seal that had been drawn on it, glowing a faint silver color. Hamilton was shocked. He quickly reached over, grabbing Talion's arm and looking closely at the seal. That's not possible. It simply can't be. In order for this to work, your body wouldn't produce any magic. You would have to be, void of it. Void of it, Salus said, starting to rub his chin somewhat. What? What are you pondering, Salus? Does this have something to do with his abilities? How this works? Well, speak up. Yeah, I'm trying to think it over, Salus replied. It's just that your phrasing, it brought something else to mind. Something that's come up during his demonic abilities training. Over the course of my training with Taleon, I discovered that he has a unique ability. Another one? Sayla said. Hamilton said, releasing Talion from his grasp. What's this one? Well, we discovered that Talion has the ability to devour the demonic abilities of others. What? Hamilton shouted, jumping out of his seat. That's completely absurd. That can't be done either. Demonic energies conflict. Sure, one might be able to absorb raw demonic energy, or energies of other sorts, feed on them. But a demonic ability is not the same as pure demonic energy itself. Demonic abilities possess demonic energy, yes, but they've been channeled and refined into a format that begins to muddy and conflicts with the person's natural energies. They can't be absorbed, at least not in the state that they are. Not unless they're broken down and passed back into pure demonic energy again, forced to fit the format of the physical body they're absorbed into, and thus losing their natural effects. Well, once again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Hamilton, Sayla said. But once again, you're wrong. Talion does it. In fact, he does it with ease. And not only that, there seems to be no limitation at all to the amount of energy that he's capable of absorbing, so long as he has his own demonic energy to fuel the absorption itself. There seems to be absolutely no other limitation to the amount. As an experiment, I had him devour an amount of my demonic energy that was equivalent to his own demonic energy at maximum. He gobbled the entire thing up and was completely unfazed, and managed to accumulate back all of his own demonic energy, but still maintained access to all of the demonic power that he, well, swallowed up from me. He lost none of it. That's completely absurd. It's nonsense. It shouldn't be possible. Yeah. Trust me, I'm aware, Salus replied. My running theory, based on a deep dive that I did into young Talion's demonic presence, is that I believe he doesn't actually keep the demonic power inside of his body. What? Hamilton replied, seeming both puzzled and very intrigued by the course of the conversation. I believe that Talion has his own personal void space, a pocket dimension of sorts, in which he is able to freely store as much energy as he wants, without it ever conflicting with the energy in his own natural body. Not only can he put energy into that void, but he can call it out, seemingly effortlessly. I unfortunately don't possess the abilities to confirm this or figure out how it works, but your statement before gave me an idea. If it's impossible to pass magic through the human body, or the demon body, more or less, then what if it's not actually passing through his body? What if, when Talion places the seal on his body, he forces the magic through the void space? There, it's not muddied or conflicted with other energies. It's stored separately to itself, and then immediately re-released, in the same way that he releases his demonic abilities, the ones that he gobbles up from others. Well, I have to say, as far as things go, this is an extraordinary turn of events, Hamilton said, slowly taking his seat, crossing his arms and seeming to try to focus. This is far from simple. Young Avalar seems to have a range of impossible abilities. With the status of his mother and father, their unique coupling, it must have created the facets necessary for these abilities. The course of action that is necessary here is study. I must be given time to examine Talion and find out the exact nature of his abilities, how it pertains to his ability to cast magical seals through his body. Knowing all that we can about this will more effectively allow me to train him to use his abilities to their maximum extent. But it's safe to say that this is prodigal. Taleon would become a mage unlike no other, capable of things that even I in my dizziest dreams could not accomplish. Yes, this is an honor like no other. I shall relish it. So much so that it even makes having to train an eco worth the suffering that it will force me to endure. I'm looking forward to it heavily. I have no doubt that once young Avalar is reunited with his family, they will have a great deal of pride in the astonishing things that he is capable of doing.